Hello, dear friends. We're absolutely thrilled to welcome you back to our channel, a place where we share the most inspiring and down-to-earth journeys through the heart of nature. In today's episode, join me as we follow a close-knit group of passionate friends who take on the chilling challenge of building a wooden cabin in the midst of a vast, snow-covered wilderness. With nothing but their bare hands, determination, and teamwork, they begin crafting every beam and plank with care, turning the frozen forest into a place of warmth and wonder. The first crucial step in building the cabin deep in the snowy wilderness was erecting the main support pillars, the structural backbone of the entire shelter. The team began by carefully selecting massive, thick wooden beams, chosen specifically for their strength and durability. These were the kind of beams that could withstand not only the weight of the roof, but also strong winds and the harsh, freezing conditions of the forest. Each beam was meticulously measured and carved at its joints. Then, with great effort and teamwork, they hoisted the heavy timbers upright and anchored them firmly into the level ground. It was a demanding task that required not just physical strength, but also coordination and experience. Each wooden beam was carefully aligned and spaced to form a strong interlocking frame. These sturdy timbers served not only as structural support, but also gave the cabin a beautifully rustic and handmade appearance. Between these beams, they stretched thick pieces of burlap, pulling them tight and securing them firmly in place. These fabric layers added a natural form of insulation, helping to keep the cold out and the warmth in. The walls slowly began to rise, one layer at a time. Wooden beams and burlap panels were stacked methodically, forming an ever-growing shield against the cold. The forest echoed with the rhythmic sounds of hammers, striking large nails and heavy-duty staples, as the team worked with quiet focus and determination. Each strike was confident, steady, like the beat of a wilderness symphony built by human hands. With every added section, they carefully checked the alignment and strength of the joints, making sure each connection was snug and secure. Before long, the walls reached shoulder height, then above their heads, transforming from a basic wooden frame into a solid, protective shelter. The cabin was no longer just an idea. It was becoming real, a safe, warm space slowly taking shape in the middle of the icy wilderness. With the walls firmly in place, the team moved on to one of the most critical phases of construction, installing the horizontal roof beams to form the frame of the cabin's roof. Heavy, long timber beams were hoisted high above the walls, carried with strength and teamwork, each move synchronized like a well-practiced dance. Lifting each beam into position required both power and precision. A single misstep could cause the entire roof frame to lose alignment. Once placed atop the wall structure, every beam was carefully adjusted, aligned, and fastened securely using large nails and handcrafted joints. One by one, the beams formed a solid skeleton that stretched across the length of the cabin, the beginning of the roof that would soon shield them from snow, wind, and rain. From a distance, the emerging roof frame stood proudly against the cold winter sky, a symbol of shelter rising slowly but surely in the heart of the wilderness. Each beam was long, heavy, and carefully selected. Working together with quiet focus, the team raised each one high above their heads, guiding it into the pre-cut notches atop the frame. The process demanded precision and patience. Every beam had to fit perfectly, angled just right so that snow and rain could easily slide off once the roof was complete. With the main cabin now complete and standing firm against the elements, the team turned their attention to expanding the living space, not only for added comfort, but also to bring the home closer in harmony with its natural surroundings. They decided to extend the structure by building a wooden side corridor, a simple yet meaningful addition. New support posts were raised along one side of the house, joined together by sturdy horizontal beams. Carefully cut wooden planks were then laid down to form the floor, creating an open walkway that stretched along the edge of the cabin. With the roof frame now strong and secure, the team moved on to a crucial step, installing insulation foam panels to keep the cabin warm and protected from the biting cold of the mountains. Thick, lightweight insulation foam boards were carefully measured and trimmed to fit each roof section. One by one, they lifted them high onto the frame, placing them neatly between the rafters. Each panel was secured using strong adhesive and nails, ensuring they would hold tight against strong winds and the heavy weight of snow. The process was steady and methodical, each foam board locking into place like pieces of a thermal puzzle, wrapping the roof in a warm, protective layer. This wasn't just a technical step. It was a thoughtful preparation to ensure the cabin would stay cozy and comfortable inside, no matter how harsh and unforgiving the winter outside became. This tarp wasn't just a cover, it was a shield. Its purpose was to guard the insulation from harsh weather, preventing moisture, wind, and snow from seeping in and damaging the carefully placed foam beneath. One by one, they pulled the large sheets of tarp over the roof, laying them evenly from the peak to the edges. With the roof securely in place, the team turned their focus to finishing the front face of the cabin, the part that would greet the morning sun and stand against the harshest winds. They carefully selected strong, well-seasoned wooden beams to cover the exterior. Each piece was trimmed to fit and smoothed out. Then one by one, they began attaching the beams to the front wall. Every nail driven, every slight adjustment was made with care and precision, ensuring the front of the cabin was both sturdy and visually striking. As the last beam was fixed into place, the cabin's front took on a bold, rustic character. It wasn't just a wall, it was the face of the entire home, bearing the marks of dedication, patience, and honest craftsmanship. Snow began to fall more heavily, blanketing the roof in a thick, quiet layer of pure white. Each flake landed gently, piling up across the wooden surface, like a soft winter quilt laid over the cabin by the forest itself. The wind whispered through the trees as the snow gathered on the rafters, dusting every edge and crevice with a fine, powdery coat. Carefully trimmed wooden planks were lifted one by one and layered from top to bottom, each overlapping slightly like wooden fish scales. Each board was nailed down firmly and angled just right to allow water to run off easily, maintaining both protection and beauty. With the structure complete and the eaves securely in place, the builders moved on to one of the most meaningful final touches, installing the front door. The door, crafted from thick, solid wood, had been built with care and precision. They carefully lifted it, aligning it with the hinges on the pre-measured wooden frame. Each screw turned, each tap of the hammer brought them closer to the moment when the house would truly feel like a home. After the roof was finished and the front door was securely in place, the builders moved on to an essential step in completing the cabin's interior, laying down the floor using thick timber beams. Strong, solid wooden planks were carefully selected and trimmed to fit perfectly. One by one, they were laid across the floor frame, each beam aligned with care, then hammered firmly into place. The sound of hammers echoed through the forest like a calm, rhythmic song of craftsmanship. As each plank fell into position, the cabin began to feel more grounded, more like a true home. The wooden floor added warmth beneath the feet and a sense of permanence to the space. It wasn't just a surface to walk on. It was a foundation of comfort, built with patience, intention, and a deep respect for the natural world surrounding them. After completing the interior space of the cabin, the team turned to one of the most essential features for surviving in the snowy wilderness, installing a cast iron wood stove and a chimney system. The stove, compact yet solid, was placed neatly in the corner of the cabin. Its heavy iron body promised both durability and warmth. It wasn't just for cooking. It would be the soul of the cabin through long, freezing nights. Carefully, they connected the metal chimney pipe to the stove's exhaust, guiding it up through the roof. Every section of the pipe was sealed, tightened, and reinforced to ensure proper airflow and safe ventilation. Once installed, they lit the first fire. Flames danced inside the iron stove, casting a soft golden glow across the wooden floor and walls. Warmth began to spread through the space as smoke rose cleanly through the chimney and into the white sky. At that moment, the cabin transformed no longer just a shelter, but a living, breathing home. With the final tasks complete and the fire crackling steadily inside the iron stove, they finally allowed themselves a moment of rest, a quiet pause after a long, hard day of building in the snow-covered wilderness. Outside, the snow continued to fall, the wind brushing through the forest. But inside, the cabin pulsed with warmth and quiet contentment. They hadn't just built a structure. They had created a haven, a place of peace, a place to breathe, to rest, and to simply be. Using leftover timber from the construction, they sawed, carved, and sanded each piece with care. A simple but sturdy wooden table took shape first, with a smooth surface and solid legs. Then came the chairs, unembellished, practical, and strong, perfect for resting by the fire or sharing a warm meal after a long day. But it wasn't just about function. They added small touches of character to the interior, a wooden shelf to hang pots, a rustic coat rack by the door, a few dried pine branches pinned gently to the wall like offerings from the forest. Every piece of furniture brought more warmth into the space, turning the bare wood walls into a lived-in, comforting home, a quiet refuge shaped by their own hands. They turned their attention to one of the most essential parts of any home, building a wooden bed. A place not just to sleep, but to rest, to breathe, and to let go after days of hard labor in the wilderness. They carefully selected sturdy, well-seasoned timber, straight and strong. The frame was built with 4 thick corner posts, connected by solid beams. Across the top, they laid smooth wooden planks, fastening them tightly to create a firm yet comfortable sleeping surface. As the interior of the cabin grew warmer and more complete, they decided to add a small but meaningful touch, cutting an opening for a window. With a handsaw and chisel in hand, they carefully measured and marked the exact spot on the wooden wall where sunlight and fresh air would one day flow in. Each cut was slow and deliberate, made with patience and precision. Finally, the last piece of wood gave way, revealing a clean, square opening, a frame through which nature would soon enter. The frame was made of solid wood, cut to fit snugly into the space. They attached the wooden shutters with sturdy metal hinges, allowing the window to swing open and invite in sunlight, fresh air, and glimpses of the surrounding forest. Though modest in size, the window felt like a portal, a way to bring the wilderness inside and connect with the changing world beyond the walls. Next came the ceiling, the final touch to completing the cabin's interior. Long wooden planks were measured and trimmed to match the angle of the roof, then fitted tightly along the rafters. Each board was carefully nailed in, one after another, their natural grain patterns forming a warm, rustic texture overhead. As the last panel was secured, the space beneath felt transformed, not just sheltered, but truly whole. A home not just built from wood, but from light, labor, and the quiet harmony between people and nature. After raising the posts and framing the overhang, they moved on to complete the cabin's porch. Not just an entryway, but a quiet threshold between the wild outdoors and the warmth within. Smooth wooden planks were carefully cut, sanded, and laid down one by one to form a sturdy, natural-looking floor. Along the edges, rounded wooden rails were installed, their grain still showing the texture of the forest they once belonged to. After days of tireless work under snow and sky, after every beam was placed, every nail hammered, every plank cut and fitted, the shelter was finally complete. No longer just a project, the cabin had become a home. With its sturdy frame, wooden floors, glowing stove, and hand-built porch, every part of it carried the imprint of care, effort, and deep respect for the natural world.